That happened. Plesac had another rough outing, giving up 4 runs on 9 hits in 4 1/3 innings. Charles LeBlanc hit his fifth home run of the season in the loss. That's sports. Jay learned.
What did I learn about?
What? What she learned. Last week she didn't bring a gift that ended up talking about. She had a gift that
Oh.
Oh.
In the corner, you get the flag.
So what's really been curious about Wired Wednesday is I put it out there that I would love to interview anybody that wants to add value to the community. What inevitably happens is I think that I schedule people and then they either back out or they forgot that I scheduled them or different things. And so when I found out Tuesday afternoon that I didn't have enough time to get anybody on on this over Wednesday, I was like, well, I'll just make sure we talk about something entertaining. So let's see. Is the little mic on now?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not even signed on the audio on Zoom. So sorry. We're also live streaming on Facebook with Wired Wednesday, and with Jesse Paul.
Good morning, everybody.
We have really changed it up on Wired Wednesday with Jesse because we believe talking about the really hard things is just as important as talking about the really easy. And by easy, I mean, what do you have for breakfast? That was like 10 minutes ago versus what have you done over the last 5 years of your life? What have you done over the last 20 years?
Or I think even a really cool question is, what have you done over the last 5 years versus what you wanted?
Or whose life have you made an impact in?
Mm.
Or whose life did you choose not to make an impact in? Right?
Okay.
Where's our attention? Where's our focus? Where are the things that we say matter most to us?
Yeah.
That we look back 5 years from now and we're like, well, if that really did matter, why did I spend my time on pennies versus on quarters? Quarters meaning the very impactful things in my life.
That's a tough one because let's use the example of, for instance, our families. Every one of us would probably, bar none, say that our families are the most important thing for us.
Absolutely.
However, what gets 90% of our attention?
Work.
Our business, our job, our
way to
our
provide
outside of the house life, right? Now, granted, it provides for the family, but looking back on life, not me, because I'm not to that point where I'm having to go, okay, looking back on my life, how did I do? I mean, right? I'm talking about people on their deathbed.
Right.
What do they regret the most? Not spending enough time with their family.
Well, and what's really entertaining about that specific, right, is we only have, and I'm saying we as in me and my spouse, we only have an entire 18 years per child to influence, direct, and make sure that our children are raised well enough to be on their own.
I would say you don't even have that long, because at probably 14, our brains shut off for a good 15 years. So do you really have 18 years?
Less time than that. And it's like because my husband and I were just having this conversation, like our ability to guide our children or parent our children is ever diminishing because of activities or because of different things in their life that need to go on, or sending them off to school for 8 hours a day and coming back. And that time is becoming ever more limited, right? So we have to make a big impact in the time that we do have. Luckily, I married somebody who makes sure that we get out and we're spending time together and we're outside and having fun.
Right.
And
a
so
lot of family activity.
A lot of family activities. And he's really good at telling me, and you don't have to work hours today. You're allowed to leave work a little early and you're allowed to go and play.
Okay, so that's actually him guiding that?
He totally guides.
Okay, I didn't know that.
He totally guides it. Now, there are days that I'm like, man, I don't want to be at the office, right? There's that aspect to it. But I go home, I start cleaning, I start fiddling around with dinner, I start load of laundry, I start doing all these homey things, which need to be done too. But my husband, Chad, he directs 90% of the fun in our life.
Okay. But see, but I didn't know he also helped direct. It would make sense because you are your mother's daughter. She is a worker, man.
And people wonder where I get it
She
from.
would work 24/7 if and not think twice about it.
Well, and I think it goes back to where we derive our value, right?
Right.
And sometimes in our life, we've misplaced work, working for others versus working for our home or working for our kids. And it's not work specifically, but we have a hard time delineating the differential between serving other people and serving our house, because sometimes our households become unappreciative of what we bring to the table.
Well, and actually, unless we're really intentional about that, doesn't that happen all the time for all of us, really? Yesterday, I was having a conversation about how beautiful Southern Utah is. And something about Southern Utah, people will drive in here with not even the thought of moving anywhere. And before they leave town, they bought a house.
Yeah.
That happens in St. George. That happens in Cedar City. There's just something about Southern Utah that impacts people.
It's inspiring.
Where they all of a sudden are like, well, I think I need to be here. Okay, and here was the comment. He says, man, are you just in awe every day? And I said, sadly, I'm not, because I've been here for on and off 30 years, so it's just become a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I take it for granted.
We do. Well, last night we went and played. Chad made sure we went and played, yeah. Right? And through me being the mom behind the camera and making sure we're getting the moments captured, I am in awe because I can see from the Bumblebee Mountains south to Pine Valley across through.
So you were up on the property, right?
No, we were down. We were out to Three Peaks.
Oh, okay.
And from Three Peaks, if you look south and then turn and look to the east and to the north, you can see from Beaver all the way to Pine Valley Mountain.
Cool.
You can see 40 miles of mountains, and it's just an incredible, and it was around sunset, so the red rocks were lit up.
Yeah.
And there's still a little bit of snow on top. It was just like, in the moment, our attention was focused on being present. And what if we took that a little further in?
So what if we were intentional about that more often?
Right. Exactly.
Because most of us just can't work less.
Right.
Right. We have to honor that. We have to acknowledge that. But the times that we're not, or even when we're working, are we taking little moments to acknowledge or making sure the people in our life really know how important it is?
Absolutely. Well, it's funny you bring this because I had a conversation Mother's Day Sunday. I went to Lake of the Hills with another family, and we were having this conversation about homework and how we teach our kids to go to school and then bring home work to do. And then as adults, we bring home or work home to keep working. And then that time with family is super limited, right? So if we taught our kids that homework isn't a necessity, or if we stop sending homework home, then the time with family, as rare as it is becoming, is more intentional.
So now this circles actually all the way back to what we were talking about earlier when you asked me about 1,000 dial day. In real estate, they we're with Keller Williams Realty, the Larkin Group, but we're also with a company called Place. And within Place, they talk about having 1,000 dial day. It's massive. And I said, well, I don't know that I'm disciplined enough, so it would be a 10 out of 10 hard.
Right.
And going back to your homework, without really starting to create that discipline, because I've met some people that could get their homework done before they left school, right? And then when they get home, they're just home. I've met some people that do not, no matter what, take home work. They are completely off work when they're home, but it takes discipline. It takes decision. It takes intention.
And through those systems, although small, right? Because some business owners are just starting out and they think they need to work 18 hours a day when really they're only productive for about 5 of those hours, and they're trying to regenerate all of these things through that the rest of those hours, right?
So, since you brought that up, about 4 years ago, I met a man that was really helping me figure out my business. His name was Kobe, and the best year I ever had, he insisted that not only do I only do the things that I like to do, I only was allowed to do things that made me feel excited. And I was trying to get into mountain biking, and I really love mountain biking. He also made me, or you don't make it, he highly suggested that I go in the middle of the day and go for a mountain bike ride. The things that are counterintuitive to actually doing more business. And that year was my best year I ever had. Doing only the things that I like to do in the business and making sure that at least 4 or 5 times a week I was on my mountain bike, even if it was in the middle of the day.
And you had your best year
And I
ever.
had my best year ever and my happiest.
And setting those intentions of I am at work for so many hours, a limited number of hours. I want to be as productive as possible.
No, I didn't do that. I still worked a lot,
No,
but I was like, I was blown away at the productivity that happened because I was taking care of myself, number one, and because I was really doing things that fed my spirit.
So then take it back into kind of my mom wife work life, right? If I intentionally made sure that I did something with my kids every day, right? Because I'm not a mountain biker, unfortunately. Right. I know how to ride a pedal bike, but mountain biking is a little more technical. But if I chose to take an hour and a half or 2 out of the middle of my day to spend with my children, how much more rewarding would my work-life balance be?
Right.
And if I was more productive or more intentional in my work hours, how much more time would that free up for me to be the wife, to be the mom that I aspire to be? You have to set a goal and an intention with doing that.
But I think also what it does is that it makes you more productive, more astute, to where at work you will create more in less time.
Right. Because
you'll attract, a better word, you'll attract more.
Because my energy,
because your psyche's right, your energy's right, and you'll start to attract the same people that want to be around you. Because otherwise we're chasing.
And would you rather lead life or would you rather chase life?
I would rather lead it.
I agree.
Because if I'm chasing it, I'm completely reactive.
And in chasing, you regret because you're not able to.
Because it's actually, and we didn't even talk about what we're going to talk about today, but I'm going to bring it in. Because when you're chasing, isn't it the same way or the same thing as running?
I would say
so. We yesterday we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today, and we talked about generational change. Yeah, generation change, and we talked about how so many of us growing up, many people often think, I'm never going to be like my parents.
but that's the only thing they're focused on.
That's what they're focused on. I'm never going to be like my parents. But unfortunately, whatever we focus on expands. So because we're focused on being like our parents, the knot doesn't even, it's like it's not even there. 20 years later, we wake up and go, holy crap, I am just like my dad. Yeah. Unbelievable. Instead of going,
looking like
instead of,
oh goodness.
Instead of, right, who do I actually want to be? Who's that man that I want to be? And start focusing on that.
So, which brings it to a really kind of epiphany moment really quick is in our college years, in our formative years, we go to college thinking we're going to be this completely independent person and everything else, but we don't surround ourselves with different people to grow into that different person that we want to become. We surround ourselves with like-minded people that don't challenge us to some degree, and then we become our parents, right? If you don't, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying
it's not bad, but most of us at 18, 19, the last thing we want to be is like our parents. Right. And so not that it's not a good or bad, but it doesn't take into effect of who do I actually, what is it that I actually want to be?
Or who do I need to be for the world to change around me? Right? How do I need to show up differently? How do I need to react?
That's a whole other subject. That's like taking accountability for everything in my life and what needs to change so that the things in my life, the price tags, so to speak, right? Good and bad are what I actually want.
But it goes back into intentionality of if I want to be a 40-hour work week mom and a 20-hour work week work person, I'm setting the intention so that I can be more productive within that. And then I start changing my mindset around it. Because if I need to be this for my children and my spouse, and I need to be that for my clients, I have to get my mindset right. I have to surround myself with people who know that that's possible.
That's true.
Right?
I agree with that.
I have to set the intention out there.
Because otherwise it's just always as it's been.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. And if you don't change where you're at, if you don't change your mindset or where your energy is lying, it'll always go back to what you know and what you're comfortable with. Right? But if I have, let's say, all of these words in front of me and I select a few of them to focus on, then those words will show up, or those things and circumstances will show up in my life all the time. Like choosing a word of the year. It's setting the intention for the upcoming 12 months or whenever you want to change your word.
Yeah.
Right? I've gone through inspire, alignment, intentionality, and expansion over the last few years, or just the ones I can come up with, off the cuff, right? But as I focus on those situations, I think because my word of 2024 is expand, right? Is this expanding or retracting my life or my abundance in life? Is this decision, is this activity, is this advertising or whatever I'm going through, right? Is it going to expand my mind, right? Is it going to expand me being a better mom or showing up better?
Right.
Is it going to expand my ability to show up as a better spouse? You go through the whole variety of those things and setting our intention or what we focus on is what's going to come to fruition, whether it's focusing on not like being like our parents or focusing on we live in the best place in the world because of the beauty and the energy that is here.
Right. True.
It's all about where you want to aspire to be. But most of us, like I think we talked about it on the last show about how many of us are asleep at the wheel, right?
And if you don't think you are, think about the last time you took a drive somewhere you go every day. Do you actually remember the drive? Or do you just go, oh, here I am?
Right.
And autopiloted to wherever you were going.
How
It's scary.
On the freeway, 80 miles an hour, and you realize you remember anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're driving, you're looking, but where was I?
On the, let's say, really the activity.
You do.
I do. Because I love to
He's trying.
But what did you have for breakfast 3 days ago?
apple and tomato juice.
That's
That's what he has for
It's
breakfast.
gonna be every day.
Would have been Sunday.
So is there anything in your life that where you just do kind of autopilot and check out? Maybe at work.
So you have to. The show is on there, but that one.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if that's good or bad. No.
But you know,
There are places where I just know
Wired Wednesday is becoming a place of, in a word, of a free from the monotony. We're trying to get a little bit of friction and a little bit of agitation out of people so that they start somewhere. They start trying to improve their lives somewhere.
We'll start looking at it. Am I really where I want to be? And what would it take in me to get there?
the fact that I'm still here is an indication that I'm not where I want to
Yeah.
And if you could change one slight thing, a 5-minute task, a task that is 5 minutes or less in your daily activity to change your trajectory, would you? Is it attainable?
be. Think of a 5-minute task. Taking
Right.
out the trash, and I have to.
But even still, if you took off from Las Vegas and you were 3 degrees off, 3 degrees,
Oh, you wouldn't get to where you're going.
right? So
You'd actually probably be quite a ways away at 3 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
on Easton, any airplane from Las Vegas, okay, if you are intentional about getting to Atlanta and you are 3 degrees off in either direction, you will either end up in Orlando or Washington, D.C. Is that Atlanta? No. So if you could change your 3 degrees, or if you could adjust or modify or pivot your 3 degrees, where would you? Wired Wednesday with Jeff B is really, it's from the heart. We don't have any of this scripted.
No.
We love being able to talk about mindset shifts and trying to help our community become bigger and better than either one of us could have dreamt of. And through that, growth causes friction. Or through growth, there is friction and there is synergy through those. And we're hoping that these words are inspiring people and getting them thinking a little bit. Thank you so much, Jesse, with the Larkin Group, powered by Place at KW Realty.
Thanks for having us.
This has been McKinnon Hampton, your host of Wired Wednesday with Farm Bureau Financial Services, your local Farm Bureau financial agent, and with the Larkin Group at KW Realty, powered by Place.
Where did that come? Are things that do?
It's no, we've been with them about a year. It's a company that we're partnered
Place
with.
is one of the largest real estate organizations in the nation. It is an incredible powerhouse.
I don't recall you saying everyone.
We don't.
I just happened to be reading his water bottle. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pretty cool thing though.
592-2021. Again, 592-2021.
And one last time, check out